Yes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are also very pleased to be here for this event and the fundraiser. To celebrate India, we are going to sing one patriotic song together. Here is Nikita Parikh. She is my co-singer for the evening.
Namaste.
So we are going to sing Chodo Kal Ki Baatein, which represents the importance of India, the history of India, and how we have come about this great nation today. Pranshu ji, connector. Iska connector, audio. Bluetooth nahi chalega. You don't have wired.
Bluetooth ही करी देना. Bluetooth से. Just get go to the Bluetooth. हाँ, right here.
Okay, let's see. Which one is it? It's okay. As far as it plays.
शब्द जो आप सुनो. शुरू થઈ નથી આવાજ में क्या वॉल्यूम.
Sorry, we have some technical difficulties. Please bear with us.
Play something else and see whether it works.
Let's see. Maybe we can put another mic. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Let's give us a mic. एक mic अभी ना just mic. क्यों नहीं कर रहा है? Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking.
You can do one song now.
That's what the patriotic songs. Apologies for the delay. Here we go.
हम हिंदुस्तानी, हम हिंदुस्तानी, हम हिंदुस्तानी।
Welcome everybody. We are on this Diwali week, that to Friday, all of you came. I'm very happy. We are also excited to have dignitaries today in this program. So from Foundation for India, Indian Diaspora Studies, I would like to welcome all of you. We are starting the program with a keynote speech by Honorable Consul General of India, Dr. Srikar Reddy. A lot to say about him. The most important, and after a long time, if you can see, a very appropriate ambassador designated to West Coast is Dr. Srikar Reddy. This being a capital of America's technology, trade, commerce, prosperity flows through Silicon Valley. And he has been a backbone of many commerce treaties at international level. And I was initially very surprised that he came over here, and then it brings the memories of Modi ji when he came in Silicon Valley. And then he has actually promised us to establish multilateral linkages with India, from technology to commerce, trade. And at this weekend, or this week, there was also APEC summit, and Minister Commerce and Trade, Piyush Goyal ji had come, and that also showed us that how much strong relationship and influence Honorable Srikar Reddy ji has in this field, particularly in the commerce. So I would like to welcome him, and first for his exemplary service, we would like to honor him first, and then request him to deliver a keynote speech.
Yeah, thank you, Kandarao-ji, for your kind words. Good evening, everybody. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Adab. A very good evening to all of you. I am very delighted to be here today. In fact, we had a very successful visit of the Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister of India, Shri Piyush Goyal. He was here from this Monday, just he left today morning at 9 a.m. In fact, even this morning we had a meeting, virtual summit of the Voice of the Global South Summit, where Minister has to chair the Commerce Minister's session. So it was from 2:30 to 4:30 in the morning. But as I promised Kandarao-ji that I will attend today's evening event, I said, even though I didn't sleep yesterday night, but I came to interact with all of you. I'm also delighted because I met most of you, I think, in various events in which the Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister participated, especially in the meeting with the diaspora entrepreneurs. And also, we also especially had a interactive session with around 20 members of the this organization and also GitPro. So that also we had very good discussion. So in fact, the name of the organization itself is for India and also for Indian diaspora. So it speaks about the whatever activities it is doing. I was able to glance through some of the events that were organized by Kandaraoji and also the members of this organization. I think we are doing a wonderful job in creating linkages between India and US by coming up with studies, reports, recommendations, and also creating awareness among diaspora regarding various rights and also, for example, you also taken up regarding the green card and other issues also with the federal government. We are doing a lot of things for the community. I think as the Indian community is growing now, I think it is close to 5 million. 5 million, we have large Indian diaspora in US, especially in the state of California itself, we have more than 1 million members of the Indian diaspora. So, as you know, in recent years, we have seen a transformational change in the India-US partnership, especially after Modi ji government in the last nine and a half years, but most recently because of the bipartisan support in the US also, and with the recent visit of the Honorable Prime Minister to US in June this year, so that I can say it is the highest point in the relationship between the both countries. And this was followed up by the successful visit of President Biden to New Delhi in September to participate in the G20 meeting. And also in September, we had the visit of the External Affairs Minister, Sri Jaishankar, to Washington, D.C., where I think some of you also participated in the reception hosted by Ambassador. And we have seen the 2+2 dialogue last week in India, where we had the cooperation meeting between the Defense Minister and the External Minister of both countries in India. And then it was followed up by the visit of the Commerce Minister, Commerce and Industry Minister, Sri Piyush Goyal, to Bay Area for 5 days. So this shows the trust and understanding at the highest level, at the leaders level between Prime Minister Modi ji and the President Biden, and also at various levels. You can see the Defense Ministry level, the External Affairs Ministry level, and also at the Commerce Ministry. Like the Honorable Minister Piyush Goyal had successful meetings with the USTR, Catherine Tai, and also the US Commerce Secretary, Ms. Gina Raimondo. So we had good discussions. In fact, both Minister Goyal and Secretary Raimondo chaired an important innovation handshake event where startups from both India and US participated. And we also signed a MOU for cooperation in the startup. So as you are aware, during Prime Minister visit, we had this agreement on India-US initiative on critical and emerging technologies, where both countries have agreed to cooperate in the new and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. We have quantum technologies, 5G and 6G, and also like electric vehicles, and also a lot of new issues. Separately, we also signed a memorandum of understanding for cooperation in the semiconductor field. So even some of the companies based in California, we have Micron, we have also Qualcomm, so a lot of other companies based in the California also, which are already interested in India. They are developing a semiconductor ecosystem. So the CEOs also had a good meeting with the Honorable Minister Piyush Goyal, in which I also participated. And separately, as I mentioned, the Silicon Valley tech entrepreneurs also, startup and tech entrepreneurs also had a separate meeting. So I see a lot of potential for cooperation in especially the Bay Area and India for the promotion of technology innovation, and also like Falcon X, like incubators. They can also help Indian startups. Already they are doing they are also bringing a lot of Indian startups to US. They are also providing their facilities so that they can scale up and also become big. So I see a lot of opportunities for cooperation in the technology sector, but also not only technology, we also look forward to increase trade and investment. So currently US is the largest trading partner of India. We had close to $192 billion worth of trade in goods and services in the year 2022. We hope it will cross 200 billion this year. And the Honorable Commerce Minister has set an ambitious target for India to become, to reach a target, export target of 1 trillion each in both trade in goods and services for export. So, while US, we export around 17% of our, especially merchandise goods to US, but if you see as a percentage of US imports, it is hardly 2%. So there is significant potential we see. And also to facilitate, for example, investment also, US invested 60 billion, but India also invested 40 billion here. But as we see a lot of potential in both countries, especially after the signing of, we have recently, just during the visit of the Commerce Minister, the 14-member Indo-Pacific Economic Framework countries signed the supply chain agreement. So this will boost the cooperation among various sectors to become trusted partners. As you are aware, most of the 14 countries are dependent on 1 or 2 countries for imports. So they want to develop most of the industry sectors in this region among the 14 countries so that all the members in the group can benefit. And also, we have also concluded a couple of other agreements like the Clean Economy Agreement and also Fair Economy Agreement. The Clean Economy Agreement is concerned with the clean energy transition. As you are aware, each country has pledged at the UN FFC, the Convention on Climate Change, that each country will become net zero. For example, India said we will become net zero in carbon emission by 2070, US said 2050. But unless the relevant technologies are made available at affordable rate, so countries cannot achieve the net zero target because, as you know, climate change is a big issue. So with this agreement on clean economy, all the 14 member countries will be cooperating in the area of renewable energy, electric vehicles, and also other technologies to reduce carbon footprint even in heavy industries like aluminum and also steel and other industries. So I think this has a lot of potential for cooperation between the California beach because it is the Pacific coast. That's why last year we had the first ministerial meeting in Los Angeles, and we had this more or less final ministerial meeting where 1 agreement was signed and 2 agreement was announced as concluded. So that shows the importance of the California state. We see a lot of potential, especially for collaboration in green hydrogen, renewable energy, and also we are also trying to have a green shipping corridors like the LA port and the Long Beach port. They are already doing some good thing in the with regarding to the lower emissions of carbon with regarding to shipping. So a lot of potential is there. We are also trying to have direct shipping services from India to West Coast because now there is no direct shipping service. It is either through other entry ports. So there is a delay in the container service. So we see a lot of potential because in investment also, US, we also hope that there is a lot of investment which will happen. Even this came out largely during the visit of the Honorable Minister to this week to Bay Area. There's a lot of significant potential and also a lot of investors. Like we had also a special event of investors organized by the USIS PF and also Diaspora. They have done a good event where a lot of around 40 people, 40 big investors participated. So they said India is a very important destination now. Even during the Innovation Handshake, Secretary Gina Raimondo herself stated now we are at an inflection point for the commercial and economic partnership between both India and US. So I think great potential is there. Now I think I can say sky is the limit for the cooperation between India and US. I look forward to working with especially think tanks like FIIDS and also all of you present here to enhance this cooperation between India and the west coast of the US, especially California and Bay Area. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Srikar Reddy. Now, I'd like to introduce Mr. Matan Zamir. Mr. Zamir is a career diplomat from the Israeli Foreign Services since 2011. Currently, he is a Deputy Consul General for Israel in the North Pacific West. And he has a very deep connection with India, as he has been the deputy head of the deputy mission for Israel in Mumbai, and he also has been the deputy consul general in the New England. So I like to please, Mr. Zamir, come over on this. I like to invite Mr. Raju Reddy on the stage to give a token of appreciation to Mr. Zamir. Hello.
Thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you all for having me tonight. Dr. Reddy, Consul General, thank you for your words. Kandarao, where are you? Thank you for hosting me. I see a lot of familiar faces and friends here tonight. As you've heard, my first diplomatic mission was Deputy Consul General to Mumbai. And just like your first love for us diplomats, Consul General Reddy can testify, your first mission, your first posting is your favorite. There's nothing you can do about it. And that is true. My posting to Mumbai was my favorite. We were able to do, thank you. We were able to do amazing things together, India and Israel, on areas of agriculture and water and telecom and communication, cyber, defense. We had a lot of amazing work together. One of my highlights during my mission in Mumbai, we covered Gujarat, and I was in charge of Vibrant Gujarat. I don't know if there are Gujaratis in the room. There is, of course there is. And you're familiar with the exhibition, and I was in charge of the Israeli booth at Vibrant Gujarat, and I had the honor to welcome Prime Minister Modi. It was in 2014, right after the election. He toured, Secretary John Kerry was also present, and our Minister of Economy that later became Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. So we had a lot of dignitaries who came, and that was one of my highlights there, to be in charge of the booth, which in my opinion was better than the American booth, but that's because I was in charge of it, to welcome all these dignitaries to the exhibition. And I remember it as one of the highlights of my 12 years diplomatic career. While I was in Mumbai, I visited all the sites of 2611. I was at Oberoi Mall, Chhatrapati Shivaji Station, of course Taj Hotel, and others, and I was also at the Chabad House that you in Mumbai. That was one of the locations of the terrible terror attack. I was there in 2014 when they re-erected the Chabad House, and I remember, as if it was yesterday, me asking the rabbis from the Chabad movement, they came all the way from Brooklyn to reopen the Chabad House, what was the concept behind the design? Because it's a beautiful building. I don't know if you've seen it in Mumbai, but it's a beautiful building. And they said, when the terrorists attacked us, the Chabad House was 4 floors. We built it 6 floors because we wanted to make sure that the terrorists know that they cannot beat us. So when they beat us, we build bigger. And that stayed with me, that message stayed with me. And it is relevant today more than ever. Because as you all know, on October 7th, Israel experienced the most difficult, terrible day that we had since the Holocaust. Hamas terrorists came from Gaza, killed 1,400 people of our people, babies, children, women. I will not get into the details of what happened there. You've all been following the news. I had, unfortunately, because of my work, to watch a lot of these videos and a lot of these images. Barbaric, violent. You cannot even imagine what these people in the area around Gaza had to go through on that dark, terrible holiday, Saturday morning on October 7th. But what's important for me to say today, that even though Israel has received a surprising, unimaginable blow, just like the Chabad house in Mumbai, we will win this, and we will get bigger and stronger than we were before. Thank you. Now, I want to say something to you all tonight. Other than thank you for inviting me, I have to share with you that the community that has been standing strongest with us, with Israel, has been the Hindu community. It's the Indian government. Thank you. Thank you very much. It is the Indian government, it is the Indian people, and it is the Hindu communities around the world. So it is my honor to be with you today and say thank you. I am on social media because we're fighting a lot of hate on social media. And every time I see a hateful post, I see the people who are attacking those hateful posts have the Indian flag and have the Israeli flag. And that's not a coincidence. And when there are posts of support saying we stand with Israel, most of the times there's also an Indian flag there. And it warms my heart. It makes me feel proud. And I want to thank you for that too. And even though we don't take it for granted, in my mind, it makes sense. There's so many commonalities between India and Israel. We both share the value of democracy more than anything else. We value family. We value education. Yes, family. I see your mother there. We value the things that matter. When we fight evil like Hamas, like those the terrible terrorists who attacked Mumbai on 26/11, these radical Islamists, not all Muslims, but those radical Islamic terrorists from all over the world, they don't cherish education, they don't cherish family, they don't cherish their own lives. These people who came to attack Israel on October 7th, they knew exactly what they were doing. They know exactly how they're sacrificing themselves and how they're sacrificing their own people back, because it was obvious to everybody that Israel will retaliate. This is not about Israel's right to defend itself. This is about Israel's duty to defend itself and to make sure that there's not even a 0.001% that these Hamas terrorists could ever do anything like that again. And any other country will do the same, just as we did. Thank you. Last thing I will say tonight, other than saying again thank you, is to give you an example of the love that we have been receiving from your community here. So Pranjali is here. Earlier this morning, we had a Zoom call with Shiva International, with the doctors that she is representing. Pranjali saw me at the HAF event, and she came to me and she said, we represent an organization of Hindu doctors from around the world, and we want to offer telemedicine to the people in Israel who might not want to go under rocket to hospitals, and they just want to pick up the phone or pick up the Zoom and have a doctor consult with them. Maybe in the middle of the night, the time difference actually works very well. So we've been talking since then on how Shiva International, the doctors that she represents, can help the people in Israel in this dire time. So I want to say thank you to you for the help. And again, thank you to all of you for hosting me. Namaste, Shalom, and Erev Tov.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your friendship and allyship. I had the distinct privilege of having been to Israel as a guest of AJC. What a beautiful country that you have. And in this moment of crisis in our coalition building, we stand tall with you. Every moment of that time, we will never forget. We too have faced terrorism, and once again recognize the fact that terrorism has to be eradicated from this world. My brother, we stand with you tall in solidarity, and maybe work together to get rid of terrorism in this world. I've been asked to introduce an individual who I believe personifies what every community should be proud of. When we were thinking of bringing somebody to the table, we thought about an individual that I believed has personified resilience, advocacy, and has put his life at the forefront. I will mention this person's name, but he is a graduate of IIT. He's had 4 startups in data science and semiconductors and memory, and of those 4, 3 were acquired by Cisco. Money has been something that this man has been able to easily accumulate. But the thing that I think this person has been inspired by is this very notion of the fact that he was the named accused CEO and manager in the caste issue that came across at Cisco. It is our privilege and honor to bring before you somebody I'm proud to call a friend, a warrior, a resilient man who has made it the mission of his life to come back and say that civil rights will never be eroded. It is our privilege to introduce and bring before you a known name to everybody in this room, Sundar Iyer. To give this award to Sundar, I'm going to now request Mr. Prakash Bhalirao. Mr. Bhalirao is also a known name to all of you. He is currently the CEO of Alafo and Resmo and a former executive DEC. He will now be the convener of the Bharatiya Maharashtra Mandal Convention coming up in 2024. Dr. Bhalirao ji, please give this award on behalf of all of us to Sundar Iyer. So now Sundar is going to talk about the issue of civil rights. He's going to talk about corporate America. And Sundar, do what you do best. Inspire this audience to believe in the potential of the fact that we will never, ever be taken for granted.
Absolutely. Thank you again. By the way, before I start, I just wanted to give a shout out to Yogi and folks at FIIDS. There are so many people who work in the background to do the right thing rather than be the braggadocios and go out and talk about themselves. So I'm actually very glad to have met some of the finest people. And there's a thing about being there in the background, helping, advising, and getting all of us to a better tomorrow. So I wanted to first thank Yogi and thank FIIDS and for everything you've done. I truly consider you a great friend. Thank you. So I actually wanted to start with a T.S. Eliot quote. There's a quote that says that, roughly says that most of the evil in this world is done by people with good intentions. This is T.S. Eliot, who's a British poet who died, I believe, around 1965. Some of you may not know, he came out of his grave about 3 weeks back. And, sorry, is that better? Yeah, okay. So I was just mentioning the T.S. Eliot quote about most of the evil in the world is done by people with good intentions. And T.S. Eliot came out of his grave 3 weeks back, something you may not know, and he revised his quote. He said, some of the most terrible things in the world are done by people with the most garbage, rotten intentions. Especially with the Israeli Deputy General in the room, I just wanted to give a shout out to obviously where the world is today and the amount of disinformation and misunderstanding of some of the people with the most rotten intentions and what it takes for a nation to fight such people. It's hard enough to take them on head on, but much worse when you have a whole generation of people and students and a lot of folks in the world who simply do not want to understand the truth of what Israel faces. So I just wanted to give a shout out and support to that. Now, why is this quote relevant to also what I want to talk to you about? I want to talk to you about people with both rotten intentions and people with good intentions and how that comes together in the issue of caste. So as a quick background, I think most of you know, there is an activist organization called Equality Labs, which along with the California Civil Rights Department, kind of an ironically named government organization, they would both like to add caste as a unique protected category under anti-discrimination law. So just as a quick level setting, the intention is to add a very specific law that says, hey, thou shalt not discriminate based on caste. Sounds like a great idea. But here's the problem, right? First of all, caste discrimination or any form of workplace discrimination is already covered under what we have as very broad and neutral laws in America. So a law in America cannot target a single ethnicity. It cannot target a single religion. It cannot target a single set of people. You do not go and say, thou shall not allow an African tribe to discriminate against an African tribe, right? What you say is ancestral discrimination is disallowed. So you do not say that Hutu-Tutsi discrimination is disallowed. So that's a sort of obvious aspect of law, but we now have the California Civil Rights Department that wants to go ahead and add this phrase into law. Now, with that context, what did these organizations do? Well, I want to take you back to 2015 when I was doing a company called Candid. I named it ironically because I thought the truth is very easily manipulated. So, to give you a little personal anecdote of what happened at Cisco and me, which will help you sort of get the broader context. But I was doing the startup company funded by Cisco. I hired a classmate of mine back from India who later on sued me and the company claiming that he was discriminated because he was a Dalit, Dalit being the lowest caste in India. The details are irrelevant to this conversation, but what matters is how the California Civil Rights Department went ahead pushing the lawsuit. So what they did was basically they first claimed the guy was discriminated, and he filed anonymously, so we should call him John Doe. And we pointed out several issues with their claims. First of all, John Doe had never applied for the position he was claiming discrimination for. They couldn't care less. They still went ahead and sued, and we asked them, why are you suing us? And they said, well, you're a racist, casteist human, and you are discriminating against him because he is a Dalit. Well, we pointed out that the person who was first offered the same position is also a Dalit. In fact, we pointed out that I was the CEO of this company, and I had offered every top leadership position to another gentleman, brilliant, hardworking, awesome person who also self-identified as a Dalit. They couldn't care less. They hid that information from the judge, from the press, and went to party with a lawsuit that basically tried to take this from a single workplace discrimination claim to a diatribe against Indians in general. Right? And they did a number of other insane things. So one of the things they did was to assign me a religion and a caste. And they had interviewed me, and I mentioned that I'm actually irreligious. I do not believe in an organized form of religion. And of course, we have no casteist belief. But they went ahead and violated my First Amendment rights. And not just me, but they assigned caste to all of my co-workers at Cisco. These were a bunch of other Indian co-workers, and of course non-Indian co-workers. They hid all of that information and filed the lawsuit. They also filed harassment claims against us. Now, just to give you some context, and why is this important? For folks here, all in Silicon Valley, you're running companies, you're doing startups, you're in corporate America, and I'm trying to tell you that this can happen to you. They came in and said that you have harassed John Doe. And we said, what are your harassment claims? Well, there were two managers who were named, me and another manager called Ramana Kompella. The worst claim of harassment on Ramana Kompella was that he asked John Doe to file weekly status reports. Now, I do remember in my physics class something about the infinite universe theory, and every outcome is possible, but I still can't think about one universe in which asking your colleague to file weekly status reports is considered workplace harassment. But that's the state of California for you, right? And I won't bother you with the minute details of the case, but the point here is that the state of California, with a reckless indifference to the truth, created a caste discrimination lawsuit, which is still active today against Cisco, FYI. And
what I want to tell you is when you are at any place of work, or for the matter, any environment, the truth is a very feeble thing. It can be manipulated in ways that you cannot control it. So to give you a very pertinent example, imagine you're working with someone who claims that you're giving them too many difficult things to do. Saying, oh, you're my manager, you're harassing me, you're giving me too many hard jobs that I'm not capable of. You say, okay, let me give you lesser and lesser jobs, right? Maybe you give him or her almost nothing to do and leave them alone carte blanche. That employee would then come after you and claim isolation. Right? They would say you're not giving him or her anything to do. So you basically have a Hobson's choice, and you have a catch-22 in almost any interaction at a place of work. So it's very easy to create accusations, but what is more worrisome is people with bad intentions, and this was the California Civil Rights Department. Now, quick other segue is not only did the state do this, they then went on to what they did more commonly to what people have been doing to the Jewish people for the last 50 years, which is a whole diatribe about anti-Hinduism. They blamed Indians in India as being particularly violent against Dalits. They said that Indians bring to America their caste system. They said that upper caste Indians have physically attacked or raped or spat upon more than 25% of all Dalits in America. This would be something like 10,000 physical assaults. There's not a single police complaint to back that up. But the state pushed this narrative 7 times in federal court, in state court. When the judge slapped them with the truth, they went to appeals court to push the same narrative. As of today, this is 3.5 years since the lawsuit was filed, the state still holds on to that. Now, if you thought I was just going to talk about Israel and its Consul General, you might be mistaken, because we do have the presence of the Indian government here. I'm coming to you, sir. I thought you would love to know what the CRD did with the government of India. The government of India is referenced more than 8 or 9 times in the lawsuit, and including Prime Minister Modi in particular. The California Civil Rights Department platformed comments that blamed Prime Minister Narendra Modi in India as a reason for increased casteism in the United States. I do not know if it's worth letting them know what Modi's caste was. Right? But the details are not important, but the point is, so they went on a diatribe against Indians, against Indian immigrants, against Indian Americans, and of course the Indian government. So I want to end on what I want to share with you based on this, which is, so you now know about people with bad intentions, activist organizations, bad lawsuits, and the Civil Rights Department. But let's come back a full circle to good intentions. When we had SB 403, what was shocking to me was you had California legislators pass a bill based on using the Cisco case, using allegations as facts, using the same survey data that was pushed to show that Indian Americans are violent, with the same physical assault and rape statistics, that not one legislature, let me repeat this, except for maybe a couple good ones who stood up and asked critical questions, that this data was false, fabricated, and falsified. There are more words with F, but I will leave that alone. So here you have a full circle of what is now good intentions, legislators trying to pass a caste law on Indian Americans. Thankfully, the governor vetoed it. But I want to end on this note. The reason I'm sharing this anecdote is for all of you here, corporate America, executives, founders, employees, supervisors, each and every one of us needs to be vigilant. Your civil rights can be taken away from you in a jiffy. Worse, when you fight back, you will face a state organization that reminds you of a man called Al Capone. They will bully you. They will prevent the truth from coming out. They commit perjury. They will threaten you with confidentiality. they will use terms like litigation privilege. They even till today are so evasive that they will not allow documents that prove their lies to be presented to court. So we've got to be vigilant. We're in the beginning of a much tougher journey, whether that journey is disinformation on a wonderful country like Israel or disinformation on Indians. It's all the same genre of attacks from the same class of people who have absolutely garbage intentions. So that's it. I would like to give T.S. Eliot a leave because he's reminded us of all kinds of bad people, with good and bad intentions. Thank you.
It is US-India partnerships.
Can we have the spotlight off, please? The center one. Atulji.
It is US-India partnerships. This is being hosted with the support of American Jewish communities. Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies is Indo-American Policy Foundation. We do engage into policy monitoring, formation strategies, and also creating awareness about the policy. In this capacity, we do work with the congressional staff, we do work with think tanks, and engage various communities to get represent Indian American issues in the mainstream.
As an African American, I have had the privilege to visit India, and I know the history of Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. And I had the privilege to go to the museum and to pick up some books and photographs that no one in this country, unless you visit India, would know. And it's from that tradition that I learned so much about Indian culture, and I'm so glad of the kind of programs that you're running, because I really encourage you to continue to reach out to everyone.
Here in America, we have 4.5 million Indian Americans, a huge percentage of your diaspora, I'm sure, and a very successful bunch, very highly educated, real achievers, and as a result, definitely the highest earning minority segment in the United States. It's something to be very proud of.
3,000 Indian students there among the 16,000 who currently known. It's a tremendous, outstanding innovation center.
We are working to call on a global coalition for synthetic drugs, and India is a really important player as well as a global leader to come and be a partner of that. So
America and India have always been very strong allies, trading partners, and it's very appropriate that the world's largest democracy and one of the world's oldest democracies are such good friends.
First of all, I'll tell anybody, I don't care who they are, India is absolutely one of our most, maybe the most strategically important ally we have. Think about your power. Get ready and buckle up, because I can't see a more important demographic in the future of American politics than the people who are the most successful, growing faster, and have the investment in the future of America. You can literally choose the next president of the United States. That's your investment.
Listen, we can never help you. We can never look at anything. Please look us up. We're easy to
the Indian American community. Our involvement is good for the United States of America. It's good to make our country more prosperous, to make our country more secure, to make our country a stronger democracy.
We operate on two principles. Number one, economic prosperity of India is good for America and American companies. And the second principle we operate is a military strong India is good for regional stability. What does that mean? On first principle, we are focused on trying to drive trade between the two countries to $500 billion, which is around now almost $200 billion. The second principle on military strong India. Today, India, 52% of the platform is Russian. Objective is how do you basically make that into more self-sufficient, more manufacturing in India.
India, of course, is the fastest growing economy in the world, the largest country in the world as of last weekend. Of course, we know that India's trajectory has no limits. And so that is why it makes all the sense in the world for our partnership with India to strengthen, to deepen, to widen, to span as many sectors as we could possibly have them.
We work closely on vital priorities, increasing mutual prosperity, advancing democracy, addressing the climate crisis, and upholding a rules-based order that is grounded in international law. The breadth of our relationship truly covers the entire spectrum of our foreign policy priorities, from defense ties, economic and trade relations, security cooperation, Indo-Pacific Quad partnership, from health to space to technology, and upholding democratic norms of transit. This is all underscored by our deep commitment, including a record number of currently pursuing higher education.
It's very appropriate that we are in Capitol today because US Congress has played a special and a pioneering role in getting this partnership going, this cooperation. And I don't mean it with any negativity at all, but they were a step ahead of the administration years back.
Hello. Please be seated. May I have your attention, please? Chandraji. I will say next. So just now we played a video. It was one historic occasion. First time in Capitol Hill, Indian American Advocacy Summit was hosted. There are many other summits happen or programs happen, like a Diwali programs happen, many other events happen. However, advocacy means actual engaging the people, elected officials, discussing with them on the issues as a group, as a citizen, expressing the concerns, asking their inputs, and then discussing that. That is what it takes to influence the policies. So that is something that we did this year. More than 100 people all over the USA went, engaged, outreach almost all, means 400 plus elected officials. We then meaningfully interacted or communicated with 180, and then having the discussions during the day and the evening about 100. So this was unparalleled from our point of view. The first time, as some elected official said, that Indian American voice was heard. We raised 3 issues. The first one was US-India relations. In US-India relations, there are 2 aspects of it. One is the most important we raised was that initiative for critical and emerging technologies. I said, how many of you heard about this one? 1, 2, 3, Stanford professor, of course, Yogiji, just those who are participating. So this was actually the, you know that in the month of June, Prime Minister Modi ji had come on a state visit, correct? One of the most agenda of that state visit was this ISET. And the second was the Indo-Pacific. And when I asked that question about the ISET, and you didn't know, similar experience we had experienced in the Capitol Hill. Even in the elected officials, most of them were not aware about this one. So ISET actually is a treaty, or the program was launched last year between the 2 national security advisors of those 2 countries, and then Prime Minister and President Biden, their offices, and if you go to the website, White House website, it actually lays out it's a multi-dimensional foundation for a very strategic long-term relationship between the US and India on various aspects. It covers military, defense, space, science and technology, hypercomputing, artificial intelligence, academics education. So it is a government-to-government relationship, people-to-people relationship, academic relationship, and industry relationship. So because US-India relations are very important, and that's why, but however, you notice that even though the ISET was announced last year, even on Capitol Hill, and it is hardly White House to Capitol Hill, it's not even 2 miles, right? You can walk in 15 minutes, but that message was not reached. That's where advocacy comes into the picture. We took that message there first before even Modi ji's visit was there. So that's second thing, what we are doing is that Indo-Pacific is a very important region because world's largest trade goes through that corridor. However, as you may have seen that last few years, particularly in the COVID time, we have seen that global supply chain was disrupted. And because only one country has a dominance into that. At the same time, that country also has a much more wider restriction and hegemonic actions going on. That is China, in the South China Sea and that corridor. So that's why it's very important from the global perspective, for the peace and stability, prosperity perspective, to have a security and the proper stabilization of the supply chain from the region. And that's why US and India are working towards that. You may have heard that Quad, right? The Quad is the initiative, US, India, Japan, Australia, so that's going on. However, we actually took the different message. What we said is that if that region has to be stable, it cannot be just 4 countries. Out of this, one country which is the largest player, USA, is far off. Australia is also that way far off. It has to be the regional players. If you see the global space, that's not what's happening. Actually, US is having different treaties. Has AUKUS, which is US, UK, Australia, so many other, but not really focusing on the NATO-like bigger security structure. That framework doesn't exist. It is a much more bilateral, small treaties are happening. So we took that message that this needs to be expanded. So US government is currently working on the bilaterals, like in the same, there is a South Korea and US. Similarly, there was even now Vietnam relationship started. But however, it is important to get the regional players there. So that was the second thing that we actually working. It will take longer time. There is some acceptance coming, there are some senators are coming board and some elected officials are coming board. So slowly it will evolve, and after a few years, you may see that there is a broader comprehensive alliance may get formed. We actually worked on two more issues. One was immigration, and immigration is one of the most favorite, and we have a particularly long battle going on onto that. Now, why policies are important, right? Because when we are prospering, many times we feel that, hey, we have, life is going on very well, we are very educated, we are having jobs, we are successful, there is no problem. But at macro level, all the policy happen, they impact all of us, we don't even care, we don't even understand. So that is where the policy engagement is very important. So we engage. I want to ask a couple of questions, just as a poll. How many immigration related, like India related immigration bills are there in Congress? Are there any India related or those bills which can impact the Indian kind of immigration? Are there any bill in Congress? 5? 7? So only because we are engaged. Rest of the people don't even have idea. So forget even the next question asking that what kind of bills are there, right? There is a backlog reduction related. There is a, you know that how many Indian citizens who are H1 holders who are backlogged, what is the number of years? You know that how many number of years they are kind of are backlogged for getting the green card? 100 years? 150 years? Okay. I think Larry Ellison is working on that anti-aging drugs. I hope that that is effective so that we can live that much longer and then they can get the green card. Otherwise they won't. But that is because of there is a 7% country-wise quota that get applied mostly because of the Indian professional as the maximum one. So that is one bill that we are working. There are multiple ones, but that is the one rule. For that, Raja Krishnamurthy has one bill which is the backlog, the recapture the backlog. There are, while we are actually waiting for getting the green card, there are a lot of quota, approved quota of green card get wasted because there are no applicants. So there is a recapturing that quota is one bill is happening. Another bill is happening related to documented dreamers. You know that DACA bill, how many of you heard DACA? Okay, that's good. So there is a big number of DACA. So in the, according to DACA, all illegal immigrants who came as a children, they can now get the citizenship, etc. Right? However, legal immigrants, it's not applicable. So H1 holders, children, if they are here for longer time, they cannot. Now, many times actually when the H1 holders got the laid offs and all that thing, the whole issue was there. If they go to southern border and come back as illegal, probably they can get green card immediately, earlier than even with the tax paying. So these are the rules that we are working towards. There is also OPT related. So there are 4 different aspects. DACA related is a 7% quota related bill also there. Deborah Ross has another bill related to just for this legal dreamers, that act. That is the immigration related thing. And the 4th one was the religious phobia. Now religious phobia, one manifestation was this Cisco case and how that this one. And when we started discussing religious phobia, Hindus, Indians, what problem? How can there be any problem? There is so much ignorance. They can't even conceive because it's not even coming out. There is no documented one time, so there is no reported incident. So we had some awareness creation related to that. Anyway, so this is the few things that we actually presented. These are the one aspect, but very important aspect. Just by this program, I could say that what is the FIIDS, at least one important aspect of the FIIDS activities. If I can get the next slide. Yeah, next, yeah, this one. Yeah, just yeah. So this is the FIIDS. We have 4 quadrants of operation. The first is the policies. The second one is that once we have the policies, then taking it to the advocacy, influencing. That is the advocacy summit, etc. came into that. Third is that this influence, it can happen when we work together. Working within the community with organization, think tanks, experts, also bridging the nations, bridging the communities. So that's the third part. And the fourth, is the capacity building. Our own community need to develop the capacity. Capacity in the civic, in the leaderships. We do the internship programs, and we will talk about this internship program later. We had a wonderful internship program this year. We also have some activities or some plans for scholarships or journalism development, etc. So that capacity needs to be developed, and that would feed into again the policy. This is our flywheel in typical circle. So in the policies areas, so lot of monitoring of the policies, what bills get into that. But that is one is a reactive. You take the bills, then you act on that, action alert. And the second part is that can we also influence proactively? Can we set up the bills? So we are actually now started the drafting the bills and then working with the elected officials and giving to them. Hopefully some of them, and I don't want to mention them before actually they get out, because it is their right to announce anything whenever it comes. So that also we are working with. We work with the think tanks. We also work with, do the conferences, joint conferences. So next year we have 4 conferences planned. One is the anti-terrorism. Another is on the immigration. Third, around the UN summit, it is going to be Indo-Pacific. And then fourth is the related to the religious phobia and diaspora topics related. So 4 conferences. So every quarter we'll have that. Every conference takes a lot of money, like say 20, 25,000 it may take based on the type of the conference we can host it. Based on the funding we'll do. So this year we have done lot of activities, we'll subsequently cover it. I will skip rest of the slides and then I will invite the next. Just run through the slide. Next. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this back. Yeah, that's okay. This is back. Yeah. Back. Another back. Okay. Next. Okay, so I just wanted to give that some of the highlights and some of the things we can be proud about. You know that there were a lot of visa appointment delays in India after the COVID. It was like a few years and all that thing. So we did the campaign. We started working with that with the State Department and others. We also did the AJC and FIIDS had a delegation in India. Last November when we went, we actually met US ambassador over there. We raised the same issue. After coming back, then we started engaged with the State Department, the consular services, also the Deputy Secretary, Assistant Secretary, DAS. And then as a result of that, they actually invited us and asked us to host a press conference in State Department. And I have folks, some people over there working with other organizations for decades, and they said that never ever State Department had given this platform to host any other organization such kind of thing. And so we were here that time, and so that's the first. We can see that one inroad in the State Department. Next one. So when the layoffs were happening, so we did the campaign to reduce that increase from 60 days to 180 days or something, that we were working towards that. And we worked very hard. We worked with many organizations also, elected officials also, and then approached the USCIS. Actually, our Ajay Bhaturia has in one commission over there also they raised this thing to make that impact. Now, USCIS actually responded, and you can see that this is the letter, but you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So basically it says that we would truly appreciate the assistance of the FIIDS to help to ensure the information goes to whatever. So the thing that USCIS recognizes us being important enough, voice of immigration, and then they are using us as a, just like how State Department also interacted. Why they invited us? Because through us they wanted to reach out to the Indian diaspora. The similar thing that USCIS also recognized our efforts, and then they not only just sending letter, then they found out some of the tweaks that they provided. How they said that clearly the 60 days extension cannot be happen because it is not within their rules. However, then they provided few things that specifically if they can use the H1B who are laid off, they can stay more than the 60 days. So that's you can Google and you can find out a lot of press was also there. So next one. Yeah. So now we are working on the another, I skipped one slide I think. So EAD is another thing. I will just touch base. Currently what we are working on, we actually in between, there was another efforts going on. Raja Krishnamurthy led almost 44 elected officials, wrote to USCIS and State Department and White House to actually make the priority date current. If the priority date current it happens, all the backlog green card holders can get the green cards. That was done in 2007. And then same thing can be done. But unfortunately it didn't happen after whole campaign and all that thing. Because I think 2007 there was actually a technical glitch. Because of that it was happened. Because these two departments were not in communication with each other properly. Their lists were not synced up. And one time they synced up. And we were trying to do the same thing. That didn't happen. However, in 27th of September, USCIS did one thing. USCIS announced the illegal immigrants expedited EAD. And if they could do that thing, we started asking the same thing that if they can do for the legal immigrant, that is those who are backlogged for long time, right? Why they cannot get the same thing? Because anyway they are legally staying here for longer time, say 5 years, 10 years. They can also get the same privilege as illegal immigrants getting that. That's our logic. So we are working on it. So those are the things. So we are working on the different levels, and it's a work of many organizations, many working together. In this FIIDS, another activity, as I mentioned, the third quadrant is that working with the organization, also working on the international problems. Last month was very kind of historically for mankind, if 1 month can happen anything so bad all over, I can't imagine. And I don't know how many people can remember something. October month, can you say that bigger events, anybody? Starting, anything? Huh? Okay. Hamas attack? See, it started with, I think 1st or 2nd of October, big earthquake happened in Afghanistan. In very short period, 2 earthquakes happened, very big earthquake. And we were kind of seeing that how we can be in touch with Abu Bakr, and then we can do something. And then 7th of October, Hamas attacked Israel. And actually, before that, actually in the same time frame, what happened is that Armenia, right, in that 120,000 Armenians were forcefully deported from Artsakh region by Azerbaijan to Armenia. Now this was a kind of a mostly independent region, mountain region, but within 2 weeks time frame they had to evacuate and run away. And all these this one, mostly were vanished, so painful thing. Many people did not even know. It was Artsakh region, or their Armenian. The issue is that it was Russia was supposed to provide some protection because Russia had actually mitigated in 1993, and it was there. Even now, US administration was also needed to enforce that. None of them did anything. So it was a 120,000 getting displaced and leaving their homeland to that happened. Hamas attack, I remember that day at morning I generally get up early, 3 o'clock, I think 4 o'clock I read it, and then first time tweeted, said that, oh, the attack happened, 50 people died, and I tweeted that. 50 people, and now look at it. It was like a bigger or after the Holocaust, this is the first time. So this is another. And now, at the end of the October, again the sad thing happened. That 1.7 Afghans who actually evaded Taliban and who were residing in Pakistan, they were given notice to leave Afghanistan in a very short notice. Pakistan to go to Afghanistan. 1.7 million, and within few days, almost 100,000, 200,000, and if you look at videos and all that thing, it's so painful. These are all happened in a very short time. We have been working with all the, for example, with the Armenian community. We had in month of April or May, we had two genocides. One was the Bangladeshi genocide and Armenian genocide. I don't know how many of you know about Armenian genocide, and don't yogi and all that thing because you participate event. Those who did not participate in FIIDS event, how many of you know the Armenian genocide? Okay, many people, that's good. So then we had about the Afghanistan issue, right? So these are the things that we want to work. We want to bring that awareness, not just over here. When Hamas attack happened, we actually hosted a congressional briefing immediately. We had Congressman Jim Raskin and Thanedar, and we had a congressional briefing on the next day, not next day, on the 9th, very short notice, and to just create the awareness, we invited all the staffers and etc. We wanted to do the same thing with Armenian community. We just trying to do that awareness and our own share into that. So I would like to just invite some of the members. So I will first start with our dear friend, Abu Bakr. His story is very inspiring. Please do Google, and he has there is a Wikipedia page also on him. He's a spiritual saint. He actually was less than 1 year when his father was assassinated by the Soviets, and his whole family, and then he was hidden in a tandoor by his caretaker, and he came here. He's a spiritual leader of tradition of Naqshbandi traditions. So I would like to welcome him. Thank you.
I'd like to start with the Abrahamic tradition of Assalamu alaikum, and what's in Hebrew, Shalom. Namaste to all of you. Srikar. I want to thank Kandra Rauji and FIIDS for asking me to come this evening and come to a very distinguished group of folks here from a vast demographic, and even India itself is full of the land of 1,000 languages and 1,000 faiths and 1,000 traditions. So India alone is an amazing melting point of cultures and traditions and languages. And one of the beauties was that when I went to India, I saw that. And then when the ladies were singing the song Ke Hindustani Hoon, I couldn't but think about the poem and the song Ke Main Shair to Nahi, Main Hindustani to Nahi, लेकिन एक हंसी जो मैं हिंदुस्तान में देखा और हिंदुस्तान का मोहब्बत मेरे क़ल्ब में बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया. And we have an amazing cultural and historic ties in the region between Afghanistan and India. Actually, one of my ancestors who was there during the time of King Akbar and Jahangir became one of his followers of the Sufi Naqshbandi Mujaddidi order. Hazrat Mujahid, he's in Sarhand, which is about 45 miles away from Amritsar near Fatehgarh Sahib, about 10 miles away from Fatehgarh Sahib, and I had the opportunity to go and visit there as well. And so we have very strong historical, cultural, political ties. When my uncle became president of Afghanistan, the first president, he was with the Mujahideen group, which was in Pakistan mainly. And India was a little bit worried that, you know, they were closer to the Soviets at that time, and the Soviets had invaded Afghanistan. But the first thing my uncle said, and I think I sent this to Kandraji, and it's in the Hindu Times as well, is that we are not an enemy of India. We cherish India. We cherish the cultural ties in India. We cherish the brotherly ties in India. And from that day forward, India became a much closer friend to Afghanistan till this day. And we have had amazing, when it comes to the economy, infrastructure, capacity building. India has become a major partner. Many, many young Afghans are studying in India today and getting higher education. And many women who, unfortunately, in Afghanistan are unable to get higher education, India has opened up the doors for them to go and become educated. And I, as he mentioned, I was left orphaned from my father when I was 9 months. He was taken away from us and assassinated with my entire family, my grandfather, my paternal uncles, maternal uncles, and so on. And even my mother and grandmother and them were taken to prison. They were political prisoners and they were prisoners of war, and I was left behind. And so if I did not have a strong woman like my mother to raise me, if I did not have somebody who was educated, a female who was educated, you would not have this audience with me today. And this is some of the things that we sometimes take for granted in some parts of the world, but it's very important of you know, the hand that rocks the cradle truly rocks the world, and we see it till this day. And we see that with Moses and Jesus, and you know, these were all men who their fathers were not around, and they were men who were raised by very, very strong mothers. And so we cherish this friendship with India. One of the first people who reached out when the earthquake happened, when the Pakistani government decided to deport 1.6 million Afghans who were living there for 30 years, who became a part of the fabric of society, but because of some political you know, disagreements or so, they took it out on the most vulnerable of people, the people who are one of the poorest of the poor in Pakistan. And Mr. Khandarao was one of the first folks who reached out and who was able to, you know, and it's heartwarming to have that relationship. And we've had other events that we've had, the India and Afghanistan partnership event that many of you had attended. And so we look forward to continuing this, to growing this. A stable Afghanistan is going to be a stable region. It will be a stable India. We have a lot of problems today in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is actually in a very difficult situation. It could go in any direction, in any which way, at any given time. And stability in Afghanistan, we noticed that, you know, can affect, you know, on a global scale, let alone regional. So there's a very regional impact when it comes to Afghanistan. And so don't forget Afghanistan. Afghanistan is going to be very important, and also we're rich in minerals. Just over $1 trillion worth of lithium sitting in Afghanistan alone. And of course, China is eyeing that, but we have very strong, again, cultural ties with India that we would rather work with India. We would rather work with India because we, you know, hum zuban hai, we have similar languages, similar traditions, and I think we can actually grow this much, much greater, and we could start here from the United States. The Indian lobby is a very young lobby, but a very powerful lobby. And I want to acknowledge that, and that's because, you know, the hard work of you folks, everywhere you go when the Indian population becomes larger, the education becomes better, the schools become better, the communities become better. You guys have given a very great representation of what a minority community can do, and we see that in Silicon Valley. Many of the leaders in Silicon Valley are Indian descent. So we cherish this and we look forward to growing this, and I again thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I hope that the situation that we're seeing globally can, you know, come to an end. You know, I want to end with a verse in the Quran, verse 49, chapter 49, verse 13. That has said that, O mankind, we have created you from a single pair of male and female, and made you into nations and tribes and colors, so you can come and know each other and not to despise each other. And the best amongst you, not the white, not the black, but the most righteous. And I think the work that we're doing is a righteous work of bringing people closer together. Thank you.
I would like to invite Katish Tanzir. He's from ANCA, Armenian National Committee of America. Please come on.
Thank you for inviting us. It's an absolute honor for me personally to be here in your presence. Distinguished people, people of import, and for me personally, this is an absolute pleasure because this is my first time being in this community, and it speaks so close to my heart, as if I'm with family. That, you know, long lost cousins, that we just found each other again. I have a prepared statement I'd like to share with you. My name is Kachik Tazian. I'm with the Armenian National Committee of America in the Northern California region. We are a grassroots public affairs organization, much like you are. We serve to inform, educate, and act on issues concerning the Armenian American community throughout Northern California. We are comprised of 3 regional chapters: Sacramento, San Francisco Bay Area, and Silicon Valley. Our work includes promoting the development, viability, and prosperity of the republics of Armenia and Artsakh, advocating a just resolution for the Armenian genocide, and defending our community's civic rights and well-being. Congratulations to the Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies for your dedication to education and advocacy. Armenians and Indians are an alliance of ancient civilizations aligned against modern-day forces of hatred and intolerance. We bring to this civilizational partnership a long and proud shared history. Many Indian students currently studying in Armenia, enriching Armenian society, bringing their blessings to my homeland. Many of you may know that the first Armenian periodical newspaper was published, it was called Aztarar. It was published in Madras, current-day Chennai, in 1794. We have many Armenian churches and schools that operate to this day across India, some from the 18th and 19th century. We are neighbors in America and allies on the world stage. We are a growing partnership. Most recently seen in jointly fighting the forced removal of Armenians from our ancestral land, Artsakh, by Azerbaijan. We are both deeply devoted to the safety and security of our respective homelands. We are committed to fighting lies and bias, whether individual or institutional, against our heritage, our cultures, our faith, and our identity. Domestically, we stand shoulder to shoulder in fighting discrimination. Regardless of where one stands on the US political spectrum, it comes as no surprise that it is an Indian American presidential candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy, who is publicly speaking about the injustice taking place against Armenians. This too stems from the deep-rooted connection between our people. The ANCA is proud to partner with our brothers and sisters of Indian heritage here in the Bay Area and communities across America. Congratulations again to the Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies. Enjoy the program. Thank you.
India and Armenia has a good defense kind of relation. India is usually exporting lot of defense weapons to recently even Pinak and Nag, many others has been exported to Armenia. I would like to invite our, we have long relationship with American Jewish Committee, and from that I would like to invite Barry Kramer.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor, and I feel like I'm standing between you and dinner, so I'll keep this short. This is a very sad and difficult time for the Jewish people. As you know, like the Indian people, we are an ancient people, and like the Indian people, we became independent again in the late 1940s when the British left our homeland. As the Israeli consul said, we are both people who value family, education, and democracy. And unfortunately, we have both felt the terror of terrorism. So maybe it's not surprising that the Indian people are standing with the Jewish people during these difficult times. But unfortunately, our history teaches us that when times are difficult, other people often don't stand with us, because we're just a small people, and it's often easier not to. But this time is different. This time, when the Jewish people are in difficult times, we have the United States, practically the world's oldest democracy, and India, the world's largest democracy, standing on each side of us. And it's not just the government of India, it's also the Indian people. It means so much when you rally on our behalf. It means so much when you write your government officials and ask them to support us. And it means so much when you work with organizations like the American Jewish Committee to fight anti-Semitism. And for that, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I also want to tell you that we intend to win this fight. For humanity, for civilization, for democracy. And lastly, if you will indulge me, I would like to teach you 3 words of Hebrew. Because nowadays, when you meet a Jewish person, you can't really say, "How are you?" Because we're not really too good. And we don't know how to answer that question. But before I came here, I made a couple props to help you with the 3 words I want to teach you. The first word is Am. The second word is Yisrael. And the third word is Chai. And that means, very simply, the people of Israel live. Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it.
So we are in the tail end of the program. I would like to invite from FIIDS first Pranjali Dani, then Gaurav Patwardhan, Sachindra Nath, Janmejay, and Yogi Chukji, please to come, and Abhinav Joshi, Harish Kanpal. So they are all doing on various different projects, but at least in a very 1 minute they can just give the orientation. I would also afterwards request Yogi Chukji to honor different prominent people, candidates, and also we have one very good award for journalism that we are announcing this year, so that also he would do that.
So I'll not take much time. I know we are the one standing between you and dinner. So I'll try to wrap it up as succinctly as possible. I'm here to talk about the internship program that we lead, and I have been working on that program with the team for last 2 years or 3 years now. So the summer cohort program, it's one of the program under the internship umbrella that we've been running successfully for last 3 years. It's a 8 to 10 weeks program. This year we concluded that program in the month of September. We started back in June during the summer vacations for high schoolers. So main thing to address and focus here is that this program is for high schoolers. They are the future leaders for all of us. We came here as first generations. Our emotions with India, USA, and the diaspora are very different. But the future of the globe, future of the nations are our next generation. So the summer cohort program is to inculcate that leadership qualities and the civic engagement in our second generation and high school students and beyond also. So we had 85 registrants all across from US this year for this summer cohort program. 45 of those students attended the summer cohort program for the entire of 10 weeks. We had variety of topics for them to think upon and learn from war to gun violence to how the state and federal agencies work, from effective writing, effective communication, because this is the time of storytelling. You need to learn the art of storytelling, and keeping that in mind, the topics like effective writing, public speaking, all of those were also included in that summer cohort program. We had very good speakers volunteering their time and sharing their insights with these high school students so that they can continue no matter what field they choose to make their career in, but having that perspective, having the right information, having the right narrative is the aim and is the vision of this summer cohort program. And we really want to grow beyond this 10 weeks program. We want to continue doing that, expand that. And for that, we need help. We need help from the volunteers. So please donate your time, and not just the time, but open up your wallets too. So with that, I would again like to thank you, all of you, for coming here today and supporting the organization, and hoping to get more support from all of you. Thank you. And I also have the privilege to introduce one of such intern who had been attending the internship program for 2 consecutive years now. So I'm sure she must have found some value so that she is a repeat student for the summer cohort program. I'll hand over the mic to Tanishka to share her insights.
Hello, okay. Hello everyone, I'm Tanishka Nath and I'm one of the interns for FIIDS. The FIIDS internship has been an exciting and new experience for me, and I've learned many valuable skills along the way, such as writing articles and researching about other think tanks. Waking up at 8 a.m. every Saturday morning was pretty difficult during the summer, but it also gave me a routine and kept me disciplined. It was interesting to learn about the different aspects of political science and other worldly matters, but my favorite meeting was the public speaking workshop, where I learned many pivotal skills that I will use in the future. I definitely enjoyed my experience here at FIIDS, and I hope everyone will continue to participate in this foundation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of FIIDS to talk about a couple of topics. First is, as we have been discussing all this evening, that how advocacy is important and how misinformation, disinformation is playing crucial role in this world and how it sets the narrative. So FIIDS has been trying to work on this front. So FIIDS, as we call ourselves a think tank, we have been writing fact-based research reports on different topics that are India-related and that impact India and Indian diaspora in the US. So some of the topics that we wrote articles, one of that was the violence in Manipur that happened back in India. It was not only related to India or limited to India, but it had some impacts across global Indian diaspora. So we did a fact-based research. We sent out that report to all the elected officials as well as distributed that report amongst Indian community. And we plan to do these policy reports for year 2024. Second topic I want to highlight here is about the Indian diaspora's participation in election here or political participation here. We ran a campaign called Indo-American Votes Count, and we plan to do that again in 2024. And we would really appreciate your participation, not only in that campaign, but in all the initiatives that FIIDS is planning to take up in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhinavji. I think he forgot to introduce himself. He's a graduate from Columbia University and major in political science. By the way, that was Abhinavji. My name is Gaurav Patwardhan. I've been involved with FIIDS for a few years now. And I had a program at FIIDS called Capacity Building in Indo-American Community. So we have seen a lot of negative campaigns, in the last few years, again, India and Indian diaspora. And there is a need to, really educate people to counter those narratives and set up right perception. So we had decided to host a lot of workshops to build skills and ability in community leaders, activists and like-minded organizations to set proper narratives and establish appropriate perception on matters relating to US-India relations, India and Indian diaspora. So I welcome every one of you today and thanks for joining.
Great. Gauravji, thank you very much. This is the team, the lean team that really focuses on getting the work done. And while there are many here today, there are many more who have gone all over the country in centers of excellence. And from that regard, I know Sachin, you worked so hard as well, and I know you have to talk about some of the work you're doing as well, so it's very, very important. So Sachin has been a key part, and he did go to Washington, D.C. as a part of the advocacy, the 100 meetings. Sachin was a part of that team along with Gauravji and the rest of the people as well. The program is just down to the tail end. Advocacy is a very difficult business. It's a hard work. It's just passion of the community. I would be remiss if we did not talk about the foundational success of the Foundation for Indian American Diaspora Studies. There are many people in this room today who've been giants in what they've done. We stand on your backs. You showed us the way how it's supposed to be done. I will be remiss today if I did not acknowledge the presence of Dr. Ramesh Chopra. He has been a leader, he's been a friend, he has been extraordinary. Vijay Semaji, thank you so much for your extraordinary friendship, leadership across the years. Chandruji, you've been a giant amongst people. You've taught us what it takes. Anurag Miral, dear friend of ours. He has been the gold standard of activism, community, social media, and the narrative, and we cannot forget the work that many of you do. Neeraj is here, Jeevan Zutsi ji, what a dear friend. He led the fight against Kashmiri Pandits when it was not convenient to even talk about the issue. So Jeevan ji, thank you very, very much today. One of the things about the advocacy is to really just come back and empower a generation. FIIDS does not take a responsible role in helping a candidate get elected, but what we do empower and encourage is those that are involved in the political process. We have 3 brief things that we must cover, so please indulge us before I bring Archana onto the stage. But from this regard, I would be remiss if we did not acknowledge the presence of a dear friend of ours, Ajay Baturia. As many of you know, Ajay has been a presidential appointee by President Biden. He's been a fundraising phenomenon and the National Finance Chair on the DNC, but more importantly, he served on the President's Commission API, which is a coalition of leaders who are basically making recommendations to the President. Ajay, I would absolutely be honored if you could come here to the stage and just briefly for a few moments talk about the work and the necessary impetus for our community.
Thank you, Yogi. Let's give a big round of applause for Khande Raoji, Yogi, and the whole FIIDS team, which is doing an amazing work. This is the only Indian diaspora organization in the nation who is advocating or doing advocacy on the Capitol Hill, the issues which are important to us, on the immigration, on the India-US relationship. I always used to talk about that. I learned a lot and I worked a lot with APAC. And the way APAC does advocacy for, I have been part of going for Iron Dome and talking to congressmen. Under the leadership of Khande Raoji and Yogi and the rest of the FIIDS team, we have now Indian, community going door to door to the members of Congress and talking about the green card backlog, talking about H-1B visa stamping, talking about so many issues which are changing. So it is very important for each of us that whatever we can contribute in terms of fundraising, in terms of supporting, in terms of getting involved with FIIDS, please get involved and let's support. And quickly, I will mention about the commission work. So we had a busy week. We hosted President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris and with Governor Gavin Newsom in San Francisco for the DNC event. We hosted the First Lady, and then we are hosting Vice President Kamala Harris this weekend and on Monday in LA. And they are working very hard for us, and I'm very proud of every work they are doing for the country. So while working on the commission, I'm also on the economic subcommittee, immigration and health and then on the language access subcommittee. I'll talk about the work done on the immigration subcommittee, which benefits our community. So on behalf of the immigration subcommittee, I presented a recommendation for H-1B visa stamping to be done in US, which was a very big pain point. And Modi ji announced in his speech that आप लोगों को बहुत problem थी और ये हमने करवा दिया. So this visa stamping and FIIDS led a very big work with advocacy with State Department on that, and FIIDS met with the State Department. So all this collaborative effort led to H-1B visa stamping happening in US. They were supposed to start in October. Because of some logistical issue, it will be starting early next year. The next biggest battle, which will be the most transformative immigration reform in the country, is issuing EAD employment authorization card at the first stage of the green card, which is I-140 and 5-year of backlog. And I'm happy to share that the Commission approved this recommendation, and we had a meeting with USCIS leadership, and they agreed on a rulemaking. Now it's a non-binding. How long it will take? Maybe a year, or maybe less, or maybe more, we don't know. But again, FIIDS did a wonderful advocacy on that, and they led a charge reaching out to USCIS, they led a charge reaching out to the members of Congress with Raja and many others. And these DHS hears these voices. At one point in time when H-1B, 60 days to 180 days was going on, DHS reached out to FIIDS. They said, this is the ways people can stay in the country, and please can you get it back to your community. So that is why it's very important the work FIIDS is doing is going to benefit 5 million of our Indian diaspora and collectively all of us. With that, I will say thank you again, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. As we're acknowledging, I do see Vijaya Suri, and I would be remiss on my part. Vijaya, thank you so much for your friendship. And I just saw Nandini Tandon here a few moments ago, and Nandini, my apologies for not recognizing you. As I mentioned, Dr. Japar's name, you were there early on. You have been a pioneer of venture capital. You've been a friend. FIIDS certainly is honored that you're here today. Your family has always been very, very supportive of everything in this community. And Nandini, thank you here for your presence with your son and your sister. And Auntie Ji is here as well, so thank you, Auntie Tandon Ji, namaskar. I would also, we do have one distinguished speaker, Raju Reddy, that is going to come and speak before you, but I do want to take a moment just to acknowledge a few more people. Because politics is not easy. I've run myself. It is the hardest thing in the world. Rishi, you've been a friend. You've been a leader in this community. You've shown what it takes. You have run for office. You've inspired people to believe in themselves. I want you to know this individual's run for Congress. It is not only his run, but it is a run of Congress for our community. It is our voice. Rishi, we'd be honored if you'd come in and say a few words.
Thank you, Yogi, and thank you, Kandiraji. It's an honor to be here, and deep appreciation and respect for the work that FIIDS has been doing, and we heard many of the use cases and success stories. It's phenomenal work. It's difficult work to be out there with a full-time day job, which is what Kandiraji is doing. He's out there walking the hallways of Capitol Hill, talking to representatives, and it's pretty amazing. A great team, by the way, and it was very nice to hear the stories. And I'm actually not between you and dinner. I'm actually dinner. Well, what I mean with that is, if we don't find a seat on the table, then we are actually dinner. We are on the menu. And that's my story about empowerment, political empowerment. That's part of the FIIDS story. I've been part of many, many different panel discussions that Kandiraji has organized talking about political issues. But when I look at our community, we just dodged a bullet, recently with Senate Bill 403. I took a proactive stance on that. Satish, I want to hear your whistle. We took a proactive stance, yes, and we dodged that bullet. But it was mobilizing the community, coalescing behind a common cause. And we saw our community come together like I haven't seen before. So it was a very, very difficult issue, but it has brought us all together, and now we can move forward. Back then, when this thing was playing out, I declared to people that it's going to sail through the Senate, it's going to sail through the Assembly as well, and the only option we have is to have Gavin Newsom veto it. It was part of my op-ed piece that I actually wrote. I took a proactive stance. People said, please don't do this. This will undermine your political run. But for me, it's very, very important to have some spine and to stand behind what is your ideology. That is very, very important for me to see. And I wish many of our friends in Washington, part of our community, would actually show that spine and actually take control and help our community out. We truly don't have a voice. So I ask each of you to take that path of empowerment, political empowerment. Run for, in your county, you can run for your party. It's an election coming up. You can be on the ballot in March. It's coming up. Deadline is December 8th to be on the Democratic Central Committee or to be on the Republican Central Committee, depending on what your party is. Please get out there and run. If you need information on that, rishi@rishikumar.com. This is how I got started. I ran for delegate back in 2013, ran for city council, and 4 years later, we were re-elected with the highest votes in 66 years of Saratoga for getting things done and tackling the tough challenges. Somebody like me, a high-tech executive, I'm a C-suite executive in a software company in Silicon Valley, working for companies like IBM and Cisco. We apply the tech framework of finding solutions, finding real solutions, never activity for the sake of activity, and we got stuff done. And that's the reason why I am running for Congress today. We are running against somebody who's been there in political office for 46 years. The clock is ticking. The patience is running thin. We see the idiosyncrasies of Mitch McConnell, or bless Dianne Feinstein's heart. I mean, people were asking her to leave. The gerontocracy playing out in Washington, and it's derailing the future of America. We are in jeopardy right now with the issues of the economy, with the issues of education. We are completely being derailed thanks to elected leaders who are more worried about their own health or insider trading compared to actually solving problems. How do you expect the gerontocracy to be handling and grappling the issues of artificial intelligence, machine learning? The autonomous industry is happening, the automation is happening around us. In fact, I did have a debate with my incumbent, and the stance was, we need to protect American workers. No, that's not the stance. We need to build an education opportunity to get our workers trained, get our students educated, and get ready for that automation economy. That's the reason why I'm running for. And we are sitting at 42%, which nobody has ever done in a million years of Silicon Valley in this particular district. District 16, Palo Alto, Mountain View, Portola Valley, Woodside, Atherton, Menlo Park, Pacifica, Saratoga, Los Altos, Campbell. It's the most affluent congressional district in America. The most affluent, numero uno. We have raised a ton of money, but the incumbent has an advantage. Raise 3x more money. We can win this with your support. Please jump in. We are deploying lawn signs starting December 20th. We are running a pretty hard campaign. And Yogi has been a great mentor. Thank you, Yogi, for all the work you do. And I invite you all to join the campaign, help us out. Let's team up, let's win this. Let's have a seat on the table, not be on the menu. Thank you all. Thank you, Kandiraji, for the amazing work. Yogi's in a big hurry to grab the mic.
It's unfortunately, we're just trying to be well, but Rishi, thank you. Rishi is not only a candidate, you know, candidates always want your money. I must say, Rishi wrote a personal check and a contribution to FIIDS. So Rishi, just for that alone, you're entitled to every minute you took. So thank you very much. Also want to acknowledge the presence of Jyoti Yalgavadi from the Hindu Hindu University of America, and Ashwini and Anil Sarpur from Yoga Bharati. So thank you. You know, this has been a long evening, but you know, I do ask you to thank you in indulging all of us with this work. Dinner is almost around here, but just a couple more things. And the reason why we want to talk to you about the work that we're doing, it's difficult work. We cannot do this alone. We need every one of you to believe in the potential of this diaspora's voice. And, okay, you know, we would be remiss on our part if we did not acknowledge the presence of an individual that has been fundamental to what we believe is the power of the pen in Washington, D.C. He has been at the forefront of covering the White House. He's been at the forefront of covering the State Department. He's been at the forefront of covering the Department of Defense, national security, and issues of importance. Not only has he held the mantle of the Press Trust of India, which is a newswire, but it is our privilege and honor to present before you Mr. Lalit Jha, who has been here from Washington, D.C. He was here on the sidelines of APAC covering the event. Lalit Jha, please come over. I know many of our leaders. We do have a small token of appreciation on behalf of FIIDS for you. So Mr. Lalit Jha, please join us in welcoming a man who I believe has personified the power of the pen in Washington, D.C. When Lalit writes, people listen not only in the United States, but all over India as well. Lalit Jha, and we're going to present an award to you as well. I'd like to have you say a few words.
Thank you. It's a surprise for me. I am a writer right behind the scenes, but thank you for me recognizing me. And Diaspora today is very powerful today. After the Jewish community, Indian Americans are quite powerful, and we have a long way to go, but we are making an impact here, both here and DC as well. Thank you.
So this is our first award on the journalism from Lalit Jha. We are starting it. And any Indian American might have gone to White House probably more than few hundred times. The only one is Lalit Jha. He's a White House correspondent that way.
Yes, Manisha Khan, would also like to recognize her from Om School, and Sujata Joshi from HSS as well. Thank you so much. You know, Mr. Hermesh Kumar is also here, and as many of you know, he runs for big offices. But that does not come easy. It takes work. It takes years of hard work in Concord, running in your community, serving on commissions, doing a successful festival for the community. Hermesh is now running for Senate, California. Not a small office. It's going to take a big effort. Hermesh ji, please be remiss on our part if we did not allow you to talk about your own campaign, and we'll try to wrap this up very, very quickly. But Hermesh ji, a few words.
Thank you, Yogi, and thank you, Khandirao ji, for getting all of us together. I know when he did the first Afghan-Indian coalition meeting, and he invited me, and surprisingly, when I reached at the home of Abu Bakr, and his wife was my first employee I hired in Fremont, 30 years ago. So, most of you know I'm a clinical psychologist. I work with people, those who, I see through what people are thinking. That's my job for last 40 years. And all of you know state of California's condition right now. And what my friend talked about, we see the homelessness every corner. We see mental health issues every corner. We see the drug addiction on our streets. And I'm in the mental health. I started my first nonprofit for other works in 1993 to serve the underserved communities. But at the same time, I'm also very concerned as a human being. Why I'm concerned, there is a share Abu will understand, and most of you will understand, that sadma aa jaye phool ki patti ko agar, sadma aa jaye phool ki patti ko agar, ashk ban ke teri aankhon se bahk jaye asar. We have to be so merciful, we have to be so compassionate that even the petal, when it gets hurt, our heart should cry for that. And being in the mental health field, what we see in Israel and what we see in Gaza now, our heart cries as a human being. No matter if we're Muslim, if we're Jewish, any life lost is lost to the humanity. So we need to pay attention to it very carefully. No matter who we are, where we are, we need to respect the life. We need to respect that we don't indiscriminately fire on people and kill people, innocent people, no matter who they are, where they are from. And being in the mental health field, I know that when we're victims, when we're hurt, we try to hurt the other people vigorously. Victims become perpetrators, and that's my field that we need to stop that. That's why I'm running for US Senate. I want to help, thank you Jogi, and thank you Khanderao-ji and Jeevan-ji. We're doing this kind of event on December 16 at Shubham under the banner of Indo-American Community Federation. It's from 11 a.m. to 1:30. Dinner is free, lunch is free, and we all invite all of you to register, and we're going to bring the community together on December 16 at Shubham in Sunnyvale. Thank you so much.
You know, in this program we had one very distinguished speaker, and certainly I'm going to beg forgiveness, but I must take this moment to recognize an individual who I believe is far more than what the world can see. You know, he sold a very successful company. He was a successful business owner. Through mentorship of the Silicon Valley of carrying it forward, he recognized that his success was just a number of zeros. But what you do with that is more important. And I could talk so much about what Mr. Raju Reddy has done. But from a FIIDS perspective, what is important is that he serves on the RAND Corporation Advisory Board, one of the most forefront organizations and think tanks that talks about the Indo-Pacific. We're so fortunate that we've been able to have him become a mentor to us. He has opened up the sandbox in India. He is an entrepreneur. He's done more for the US-India corridor. There are many people who come back and talk about the fact that he spends an equal amount of time here. And when you talk about the US-India partnership, you talk about ISAT, it's Mr. Raju Reddy, and he had this conversation and talk, but in deference to the time, you know, we certainly appreciate that. But I must come back and acknowledge Mr. Raju Reddy to come and just say a few words about what he sees as the importance of advocacy and everything that comes with it. So, Raju, thank you so much. I know we could have a long conversation about what you learned at the RAND Corporation, but we'd love to hear about your work in building entrepreneurship companies and the Indo-US partnership.
All right, thank you, Yogi. I'm really glad I'm not standing behind you and between you and the dinner. So please go ahead and join the line at dinner. Yeah. Just quick thoughts. Khanderao-ji, you know, he reached out to me a few days ago and said, hey, if you can share your thoughts on sort of the role of Silicon Valley in India-US economic partnerships. And I said, well, can I talk more about startups? He said, yeah, that's wonderful. But that's the world that I spend most of my time in. First of all, yeah, I've been involved with a variety of nonprofit organizations over the years here in Silicon Valley. And one of the big initiatives is called Sevathon that brings almost like 100 different nonprofits, just to raise the sort of the visibility and shine a spotlight on Indian Americans in the field of philanthropy. But I can't think of any single organization in the early years at least that is dealing with policy and the kind of things that we've heard today from FIIDS, right? There are a lot of wonderful organizations doing work in healthcare, education, and climate, and cultural organizations. But really give a big hand to Khandarao-ji and the entire team. First of all, for picking this as a charter for FIIDS. As my friend Yogi mentioned, this of course is a personal area of interest given my role in the RAND Center for Asia Pacific Policy Board. And it's fantastic, not just a charter, but the impact that they've actually made. So the one area that I wanted to talk about very briefly is the startup ecosystems coming out of India now that are building products for a global market. When we talk about India and US relationships, of course, a lot of people now recognize that large companies like Microsoft, Google, and Adobe and others are run by people of Indian American origin. What is perhaps not as well recognized yet is the scale of companies that have come out of India building products for a global market. There is a company called Postman. Some of you may have heard about it in the tech industry. Anybody here heard of Postman? Yeah, quite a few. They have over 25 million developers, and this is a young, Indian entrepreneur who is moved here to Silicon Valley to build the company. There's a company called Quizzes, which probably not many have heard about. 1/2 of all US schools are using their product. This is an edtech space. Again, I can go on like that. There's a company called Pixel, which is the most advanced now in space technology, like Planet Labs, kind of next version of Planet Labs. Their entire positioning is about health monitor for the planet. They build these satellites, nanosatellites with hyperspectral imaging. So my point is, this is extraordinary what we are starting to see now. And I know there was a lot of talk about, our friends from Israel talked about the current situation in Israel and all of that. But, I always admire deeply the kind of entrepreneur ecosystem that Israel has built. It's extraordinary, just the sheer energy. Country of 8 or 10 million people, the number of startups that have come out of Israel. And I also believe there is a lot of good synergy between Israel and India. A good friend of mine, Oded Harmoni, Israeli citizen here in Silicon Valley and executive, we often used to talk about the collaboration between Israel and India on the startup side. And we said the shortest path from Tel Aviv to Bangalore, goes through Silicon Valley, when it comes to startups. So I think that's the opportunity, that's the influence and impact that the Silicon Valley can have, on India. And there are 3 kind of broad areas I'll touch upon. One, most of these companies do need mentors here because the knowledge of scaling companies rapidly is certainly unparalleled in Silicon Valley. In fact, FalconX right here is largely focused on that, among several other, similar organizations. So for those of you who have that expertise, just do look at the company startups coming out of India. Second, many of them, as they expand here, are also looking for executives to run their US operations and all of that. I think that's another big area of focus. The third is really on the policy making, which is where FIIDS comes in. And I know we had a meeting with Mr. Piyush Goyal recently. And, because the policies relating to startup growth, I think is a huge area of opportunity. So anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit of that. As the Indian Americans who are running large companies, while that's very visible, I think you will see in the next decade a lot more of these startups that are truly building and will become the global brands. And each of that and all those things create opportunities for people in Silicon Valley
And folks here, of course, will have a very meaningful role to play in all of that. Thank you again.
Thank you, Raju. Much appreciate that. And Sangeeta Shankar from HAF, we'd like to acknowledge you. Ravi Kapoor from Diya TV, he's been our media partner. And once again, I know people of you started dinner, but you know what? The Foundation for Indian Diaspora Studies has done so much work on such a shoestring budget. If I told you how much money we spent on this to get this done, I'll tell you the sweat equity of the people and the effort that's been spent. Volunteers like Madhuri ji, volunteers who've been aggressively and persistently and consistently been working in the backgrounds. We make this call to action of the fact that if you believe in the power of advocacy, it is going to require us to come back and continue the work that we're doing. Nothing can happen. Advocacy is extremely expensive. We don't aspire to spend money to go and talk to politicians. What we aspire to do is to build a community of people who believe in the potential that Washington, D.C. and the state houses can be taken. And today, I would like to ask our friend Archana to lead in our call to action for the fundraising efforts along with Khandarao-ji. And Khandarao-ji,
among all of us, Dr. Japra did tremendous many times the fundraisers and all that thing, and he has been appealing that. So I would like to start with him to appeal and say the importance of giving to the community.
Of course, without money nothing moves, you know. So, you know, we have been right at the beginning trying to give our contribution. Like Yogi mentioned, so far it's been coming along. They've done a lot more work than we expected with that kind of money on a shoestring. But now taking it to the next level, we need a lot more money, a lot more contributions. So please open your wallets and make sure that now we should not be asking the money part again and again. I think that part should be in the back, and our community, which is #1 in the whole country, as you all know, that we claim that we are the #1 earners, we are #1 up there, beating the Japanese Americans. Now time has come to open your wallets and please contribute. You know, on our behalf, we'll be doing our best and making sure that FIIDS never get short of money. So we'll make sure we do that.
Thank you. One who is not here, but I would like to start with him. So Dr. Mihir Meghani, he couldn't come, but he gave $10,000 to start with.
Wow. नमस्कार, प्रणाम, सत श्री अकाल एवरीबॉडी. आई नो मुझे दिया गया है टास्क कि आपसे रिक्वेस्ट किया जाए, निवेदन किया जाए कि हमारी सहायता में आप क्या कर सकते हैं. वो कहते हैं हम आम को आम, खास को खास लिखेंगे, वक्त के दरिया पे सच का एहसास लिखेंगे, गीत गजल लिखेंगे हम पे लिखने वाले, हमने कलम उठाई तो इतिहास लिखेंगे. और इतिहास लिख रहे हैं FIIDS वाले, हमारे सारी बहन भाई मिलके. एक आपको बता, I would like to say all the names that have been donated. Please come, Madhuri. Can you tell us the name of the people who have helped us in FIIDS?
Yeah, just like Khandarao ji mentioned just now, Dr. Mihir Meghani ji, he has donated $10,000.
Yay!
Big round of applause for him. And then we would like to even recognize Ramesh Punnapalli ji, who also donated $7,500 this year. Anyone else who would like to come closer to that one today in the audience?
We would love to have all of you.
Or beat Mihir Meghani. Yes, of course.
But actually, Chandruji very well said, but it doesn't matter how much, it's your intention, it's your heart. Even 50, 500, 5,000, 5 million, it's your intention. आप जिस भाव से देते हैं, we'll be accepting everything. The squirrel effort, जो गिलहरी प्रयास है, that also makes a lot of difference. Along with money, that bhavna is more valid. So how many of us want to help us? Today we can have a pledge from you. Any hands? Anybody? Come on, everybody. Sundar ji, claps, hands, huge applause for Sundar Iyer sir.
Applause for Sundar ji.
Very awesome.
We have a pledge form on each table.
We can have our volunteers help you. Pledge card and a QR code as well. We have gone high tech. So if you just scan the QR code, you'll get, thank you so much. So कहते हैं, the gratitude. There was one person, there was a very big entrepreneur who was in COVID days. He got sick in this hospital. When he was coming out, he was given a bill for the oxygen he used. Yes, sir. You needed some help? Oh, please. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, just...
Yes, we would like
there
to
you
invite
go.
Sundarji. Please, sir.
Sure. I have two words with C. One is the charitable contribution, and one is the cast word again. But I wanted to pledge $20,000.
Yay!
It is hopefully one amongst many coming hopefully in the future. But what FIIDS does has just been amazing and has been a great amount of support to me and for the whole community. I just wanted to share one more anecdote. Yesterday in the court, the California Civil Rights Department was reminded of their hatred against Hinduism. There are more than 50 comments on Hinduism, and defining caste as a sort of hierarchy within Hinduism. The state refused, I just want to repeat this, the state refused to remove their comments against Hinduism in the lawsuit. So we've got to fight this at many levels, and we're going to win this. But I just wanted to start by trying to help organizations that are already half along the way. So would love to pledge the 20,000.
Thank you very much, very much. So they say, we go to Starbucks, any shop, we spend 30, 40, 50, 100 per day. But if we give a small contribution to a good cause, it magnifies, it biomagnifies, and it is useful in so many ways. So please, ladies and gentlemen, we came here with a mission, with a life. God gave us a lot of things. वो कहते हैं, जो प्राप्त है, पर्याप्त है. We have enough to share, to give to the community, to humanity. So आइए, आज we all, let's help each other out to get some. Anybody else? We would love to see some hands, some more hands. Anybody? Any amount is okay. Welcome, welcome. I would love to see some more hands as pledges. Anybody? Ladies and gentlemen, come up, come up. We have a matching person also, so we can have a matching. Today's event, it's only. So if anybody can give us some more joy towards FIIDS. Awesome. Madhuri ji will be helping us with a little more information, a little more insight, acumen to what FIIDS is doing about the different programs. We all come here, get money, get dollars, but beyond it, what? उसके बाद क्या? सोचिए, आप अपने life के बाद, अपने नाम के बाद किस प्रकार से लोगों के दिलों में रहेंगे? That is the point. Yes, Madhuri ji.
Yeah. So, like we saw earlier, internships. Internships are very important, and to bring up the young talents like Tanishka, like we heard her experience during the internship, and they are our future, next generation. So to groom the interns under the congressional leadership, it costs around one person, it costs around $5,000. Anybody who want to sponsor one intern this year, 2024, anyone who wants to sponsor one intern this coming year, 2024, I would like to see some hands, please.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, one hand makes a lot of difference. One hand up.
It is $5,000. Wow, Ramesh again. Ramesh again.
Thank you
very
very
nice.
much.
Anyone else?
Don't keep quiet.
We have around 6 to 10 interns who come every year. So just to groom them, we need $50,000. So please, we would like to see if we can raise that amount today. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Zuban kholiye, apna dil kholiye. Let's open your wallets and hearts. ऐसा ना हो आपको जीवन भर संताप रहे, जहां पे बोलना था दिल खोल के, वहीं आप चुपचाप रहे. ऐसा ना हो, चलिए बोलें, आगे बढ़ें, let's help each other out.
Ramesh ji, we would like to request you to please stand up. A big round of applause for Ramesh ji for another $5,000.
Thank you very, very
Everyone,
much.
please.
There are pledge forms, QR codes on the table. If you need more help, you're always here. And in the end, we'll just leave you with a message that we all live lives. We earn, but make a living by giving. So when your standard of life increases, you don't improve the standard of living, but you improve your standard of giving. Thank you very, very, very much. Can I please request Atul Shah ji and Mr. Janmajay on the stage, please? Atul ji and Janmajay ji, thank you very much.
So most of the logistic today, Atul Shah ji did very wonderful job. He's a person across the organizations. So that's a very important work he does. Yeah. So each table, we have sign-up sheets. So please enter your email address and phone number so that we can keep you informed. A lot of activities happen, but this is the best way to keep you informed. So please sign up in that sign-up form. Yeah, FIIDS is 501c3 tax exempt organization. So you can leverage. Also, it is registered to Benevity, so you can do the company matching also. Whatever. अच्छा गेट प्रो से रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं किया गेट प्रो का कौन है इधर गेट प्रो स्कैन देंगे मेरे बॉडी
Good evening. My name is Janmajay Singh. Thank you all for coming this evening. On behalf of FIIDS, I would like to extend my sincere vote of thanks to organizations. First of all, I would like to thank to Deputy General of India, Srikar Reddy ji, Consul General of Israel, Sriman ji. I would like to thank Sundar Iyer, Mr. Abu Bakr, Barry Kramer from Jewish community, Ajay Baturia ji. We have representation from various organizations here. We have representation from American Jewish community, from Armenian National Community of Armenia, American for Hindus, HHS, Overseas Friends of BJP, Gaurav Patel ji, Chandru ji and Sachindra ji. I would like to thank AIA. I would like to thank Indo-American Community Federation, ISCFA. I would like to thank GitPro, Om School, NRI for Bengal, Yoga Bharati. I would like to extend thanks to Lalit Jha, Dr. Ramesh, Raju Reddy ji, Ravi Kapoor ji from Diya TV, and Dr. Jafra ji. Thank you all for coming this evening. Please enjoy your dinner. And we have music program after. We are just going to start music program. Thank you.
I would like to announce Prakash Bhalerao ji. Give a big round of applause. We just got $5,000 check from him. A big round of applause, please. Yes. And then we have few more people we would like to appreciate. Anil Surpurji for his bronze donation today. Everyone a big round of applause. Every penny matters. So please use the pledge forms that are on your table, and there are QR codes if you would like to use that. And please pledge your amounts with us today. Thank you very much. we have with us Hetal, Nikita and Dinesh ji, who will be entertaining us while we are having our dinner. Please enjoy the music, and also please open your wallets, use the pledge forms and QR codes to donate. Thank you.
Oh.